And so how do you create an environment where people are more likely and comfortable expressing their views? And we talked about a little bit a few months ago about psychological safety. And I think that plays into how you will be more transparent or more authentic to the organization. And have you seen signs of this? And it probably is a cultural change in some of the organizations that you see.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I talk to CEOs every day, and one of the most common themes that we talk about and that they grapple with in their roles is that the nature of authority dynamics in organizations is such that power is inhibiting of the upward flow of information. Put in simple terms, CEOs need to know what is going on below them in the organization, and they need to know the bad news in particular. The good news is easy. That people always feel free to talk about what a good job the CEO is doing. But this is an emperor's new clothes kind of phenomenon. What the CEO really needs to hear about is the problems, the challenges. And so it behooves CEOs to think all the time, really, about what they can do to mitigate the inhibiting effects of their role on people's freedom to speak openly, and how to encourage and even reward the candor. Companies really need to have a low cost of candor to be effective. And I think that over time can become embedded in the culture, but it's something that can never be taken for granted, and CEOs need to be vigilant about maintaining that. I think that it then begs the question of what does it take to create these seemingly magical conditions of psychological safety. And it turns out they're not magic at all. They're actually some things that leaders can do very deliberately to create those conditions. And one never achieves perfection in that, like in anything else, but probably the most important ingredient, and I think a lot of research has supported this idea, probably the most important, not the only, but most important ingredient in creating those conditions of psychological safety in teams and ultimately in entire organizations is when the leader or leaders can make themselves a little bit more vulnerable emotionally. And there's really nothing fancy about that. It really involves having a degree of humility. It means talking about when one has made a mistake or when one is unsure or doesn't know something. When one is fundamentally curious about learning, which is a very humble position to be in, because the alternative, of course, is this kind of pathological certainty that some leaders display, which is a great way to shut down communication and curiosity. So I think those kinds of traits and behaviors on the part of leaders can really contribute to psychological safety in organizations.